my great pleasure to introduce to you my great friend and our Chief Science Officer, Dr. Jen Myers. Jen, how are you this morning?
Good morning, Kevin. I'm well. How are you?
I'm fantastic, staying warm, excited for the week coming up. And, we just finished a really, really busy week. So much got accomplished, and now we're moving forward. Love that picture there. Your home is filling out. I know for a while there, we were seeing you with a fairly open background, and now it looks like your furniture is arriving. Welcome home.
Thank you. Nice, right? Well, happy pre-Valentine's Day, everybody. And yes, Brittany, first thing I commented when I jumped on before you all were here, I love her red lipstick. I can't pull it off, but she can, and it's lovely. So more power to her. She better always wear it now, though, because
all right.
Expectation.
Well,
but I'll put
red glasses. So you and I are here with our glasses. We're studious. We're looking at it.
Okay.
And we're here today to talk about two of our key markers or SNPs that we mark for everyone, and those are the MTHFR and the VDR gene. Can you talk a little bit about those, and then let's dig into two things that you wanted to share with people about those, one after the other. So if you could give us a little precursor on the MTHFR and the VDR, that would be great.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is we know, it's there's a lot of viruses and things out there, right? And taking precautions and being proactive is a really good way to help maintain overall health and wellness. There's been a couple of really amazing studies recently to which I'm going to add them and update our wellness action plan or healthy aging panel, as well as our weight management panel, to be able to bring in the new 2020, 2019 and research that's out there and that's available, because they're still researching it, and that's great. And that's what we want to do. We want to innovate with the science and keep up. So published, it was September of last year, they brought up the VDR gene, our VDR receptor gene in particular, in a study, which was great. And it was saying how it supported individuals with some sort of acute respiratory upper respiratory syndrome, or any kind of colds, flus, those kind of things, right? So the study actually came out and said that vitamin D deficiency is actually associated with an increased risk of upper respiratory infections. So they actually came out and said, okay, we did some control studies. We looked at 1,500 individuals. We tested for vitamin D deficiency and gave them vitamin D, and it reduced their risks by over 19%, which sounds low, but that's just one tiny component, guys. Imagine being able to reduce your risk of any kind of upper respiratory syndrome by 19% just from one tiny ingredient. So
that's like 1 in 5 people are helped.
Yes, and clinically we see vitamin D deficiency more than you would expect. It's over 90%. Even somebody who's like, I'm out in the sun all the time, I should have good vitamin D levels. They're typically low, and they're surprised by that, but they don't take the genetic component in mind to say that maybe my body doesn't absorb and utilize vitamin D the same way as somebody else. So I actually have to take more or less. Well, guess what? We take that guesswork out for you and are able to help and support that. And now they're coming out with studies saying, you know what? Support this gene, this VDR gene, take the appropriate amount of vitamin D, and you can reduce your illness or symptoms of illness, right, by a 19+%, which is great.
Yeah, and I've also read, and I'd like your thoughts on it, that when we use all the sunscreen that we use in the summer, and even now if you're in bright sun, and then we get into these winter months where we're locked in our houses for extended periods of times or indoors, whether it's for any number of reasons, it slows down our body's ability as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why we see a huge increase or influx of vitamin D deficiencies around this time of year anyway. So, and that's where seasonal affective disorder and all of these things that we don't want to experience comes into play. And of course, it's all based on how your body utilizes these certain nutrients, and genetics plays such a huge role in that. So we're able to help support that particular gene and help decrease your risk of severe or worsened symptoms based on different things that are out there right now.
You sent me a list of things that it does, and it's just incredible. It decreases the intensity of cytokine storm and chemokine, I say it wrong, modulating neutrophil activity, all these things that sound really complicated, but ultimately what it means for us is, that's the question.
What it means for us is it decreases our risk for severe symptoms of illness, right? So it can keep our immune system working the way that it's supposed to, keep the risk of these cytokine or these immune system storms, which wreak havoc. It actually, the body starts running around, burning down the whole neighborhood, trying to find that one bad guy. So therefore, it actually keeps the body focused and keeps the body understanding, that's right, I'm self-healing mechanism, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Cool. That is pretty cool.
Right,
I had no idea. I mean, I know that take your vitamins, but ours are specific for you, and we're giving people what they need at the clinical levels we know, and that's really the critical piece, is getting the right stuff to the right people, the right things. The other one was the MTHFR SNP. That one's always one of our favorites to talk about, just because I always struggle with pronouncing it. But let's go ahead. Tell them what you've learned, because you've got another brand new study that you wanted to share the details of. And this one I loved.
Published November of last year, of 2020. And it talks about how the methyltetrahydrofolate, the 5-MTHFR gene, the application of this active form of folate, right? So folic acid, it actually says within this study that it actually puts a buildup in the body and can cause the body to not properly utilize other different nutrients and cofactors that are involved in this methylation process. So in this study, they actually talk about that it regulates cell physiology, DNA repair, which we know that, functions of membrane transport, all these amazing scientific and biochemical, biological processes, and can actually decrease the risk of increased symptoms during certain viruses or upper respiratory type infections. So with this gene, or with this polymorphism, some people are actually more prone to severe illness or virus or symptoms during certain viruses or illnesses that they could contract during these times of year, where we're more prone to having, because of the not as much sun, the low vitamin D levels, immune system is not as healthy and strong. So I did these two together because they kind of coincide, they all do, but especially right now, these two coincide. So it was great to see they came out with studies. And you know what both of these studies said? Both of these studies said treatment with proper vitamins and micronutrients, in addition to standard supportive care, seems to be warranted to protect and support against the most vulnerable patient groups. How cool is that?
People need this.
People
need this information.
They're not my words. And I'm telling you, it's great to see. They're big studies, 1,500 plus people, the decrease in percentage of what it's being able to support and help with, all the people involved was fabulous. It was so great to see that. So I'm happy that they're starting to do these micronutrient testing and studies to pull and say, you know what, they're just validating what we're doing, and that's great.
I mean, so much is going on behind the scenes. We get so tied up in the business aspect or in the logistics aspect. And I just want to make sure we never forget the science aspect and what this product does for people, how it makes available to them as nutrition and supplementation only for them, specific to their DNA. Nothing else is like it out there, and people need it right now.
Yep, see?
I know.
I got that. I've got my core. I've got some new fun stuff that I've been working on, everybody. Here it is. So, there's lots of fun things that we're doing. I'm constantly, and Kevin, Brittany, everybody knows this. We're constantly, I'm looking at research all the time, formulating things so I can be one step ahead of when Kevin says, okay, go, I've got it ready to roll. So there's a lot of amazing new things that we are going to implement, and I'm excited for that. And Craig said it earlier that we're changing the reports, and I'm updating the science as well to be more up to date with the innovation. I mean, if they're still doing these studies, I want you guys to know about it. So, and they are, which is beautiful. So updating the reports so they're all very uniform. Practrician, which I'm so excited about. We all know that's where my baby is. So, moving forward there's just lots that we're doing.
Yes. So much we're doing. And One of the best things that I think that's happening right now, and I see it as a groundswell, is just how people are latching on to the need. And I mean, so many of us seem to be doing great. A few people have gotten ill over the last few months. It is cold and flu season, but most of us have been traveling around and are just kicking it, just doing great. And for me, I personally feel like what I do in terms of supplementation and then taking care of myself is making a big difference. And, thank you for all the help and the feedback. And I can't wait until we update some of these reports, because what people should know is we're not updating the reports and saying, oh, all the old stuff is bad. What we're doing is finding out more and more that what we have been offering is even more supported by science and the research.
Yep, absolutely. And it's innovation. We have to innovate with the science. We have to constantly educate ourselves and look at what's going on within the research. And that's what I've been able to do a lot more lately. And I absolutely love it. So it just lets me bring forth more of what we're doing for validation purposes, as well as progress as a company and make sure that we're staying on top of things.
Yeah. Now, earlier when we were on and watching, Craig went through a couple of things about the wellness report and the that healthy aging / wellness report, and then the weight management report. You read them a little bit differently. So whenever most of everyone here is familiar with the wellness report, but let's talk about how that's read in terms of the color schema and what the 0, 1, and 2 might mean there. And then we'll flip it and talk about the weight management report. We're working on making them read the same, but right now they're not quite there.
They're not yet. And the reason that they don't, it's not because we said this was, like you said before, written incorrectly or we don't like it anymore. I wanted to make it easier to understand, because in genetics, right? So you can have a particular SNP as a yellow, let's say one parent, so heterozygous, I'll use all the terms. So you could have this heterozygous, this yellow, this one copy from one parent. But in research and study, they're actually saying that's the one that we need to support the most, not the red or the 2 or the homozygous. So that's why we decided to say, you know what, let's do the results that make sense. 0, 1, 2, simple. Let's do the nutritional support that makes sense. Green, yellow, red. Simple. So just to simplify and make it less, it's a very complex system, and that's what I love about it, but it doesn't have to look or read, with complexity. We can make it easy and digestible by everybody. So that's what I wanted to do. The Wellness Action Plan right now states green, of course, being you didn't get a copy of that particular SNP variant from either parent. Yellow meaning, of course, you got a copy from one parent, and then red meaning you got a copy of that particular SNP variant from both parents. That doesn't indicate, now on that particular report, it does indicate nutritional support as well. So that one is a little simple, but when it came to weight management, we started to look at the research and even some of our other reports and think, okay, wait a minute. So this one, like our caffeine gene, right? So we would need to give support when we don't think we need to. So that's why we had to change the format a little bit, just to make the complexity of it more simple and digestible.
Absolutely. And that 1, 2, 0, some people are writing in the comments, hey, when will the wellness report be amended? We'll be changing it. We're looking at that really, Francois, in April. I mean, we want to give ourselves time to make sure it's fully edited. And also, everyone should know that all of these reports, when somebody buys one of our reports, as science changes, as the testing protocols change, anytime we have a chance, we will reprocess. Not say every time, but I mean, because there's changes every day. But every time there's a meaningful reason to, we'll update your report. Yeah. And people's reports will change in the back sometimes. And it's not that we're necessarily doing anything other than tuning it and using the science, because at the end of the day, people are here for a scientific solution that's customized to them, and that's what's driving us forward every step of the way. But I can't wait to see the updated reports with additional science facts and citations, the peer-reviewed studies, and updating those, and the fact that they just keep saying, hey, what you're doing is right. And
that's part, the scientific validation, the rational means for what we're doing is validated, and that's what we love to see. Of course, we know that, I know that, you know that, we all know that, but it's nice to have it in black and white.
Absolutely.